머킬티오 12번 제이슨. I was just introducing myself in Korean just to say hello. But yeah, thank you everyone for your time. And as people are coming in, volunteers, please keep an eye out for tables and chairs. So thank you. And yeah, I want to give it up for the volunteers too. They've been making this happen since 8 a.m. this morning. So thank you so much, volunteers, for doing it. Wow, this is amazing. I'd love for people to look to your left, look to your right, and just say hello. I also want you to say hello in Korean, so I'll teach you this. It's 안녕하세요. Yeah, there you go. So if you see someone that might be Korean,
to celebrate the first Mercantile Korean American Appreciation Day 2 days in advance. This August 15 marks the 77th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonialism that lasted for 40 years. It's a special day for us to celebrate here. Korean liberation was a direct result of America's victory over the Imperial Japan. It is really great to be American, isn't it? Also, it is great joy to be Korean American. We are all proud of being Korean American. As a dutiful, responsible, and contributing members of democratic society, we all should exercise our right to vote. Especially Korean Americans ought to exercise our democratic right to vote in November this year. I urge you to register and vote. Please vote this November.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. It is with great pleasure to be with you all at this delightful event. My special thanks go to those who have poured their heart into making this Korean American Appreciation Day event possible. I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards Mayor Joe Murray and Principal Kemiaka Stefan Sherry and Mercantile Police Chief Kang-chul for attending and making this day even more special. It is such a privilege to come together once again as a community and celebrate this event after a long hard time. On a lighter note, a person who more comfortable speaking Korean, quite often I struggle to pronounce the name correctly, and due to this minor issue, yesterday I put in my whole day practicing to pronounce the name of our mayor and principal. 이분과 커트 많이 했었는데, and I found the principal name to be the most challenging to pronounce. So I really wanted to use this opportunity to ask Mr. Shirley if I was correct. Did I pronounce your name correctly, Mr. Shirley? I sincerely apologize if I was wrong. I wanted to talk about changing perception of Korea. Until not too long ago, image of Korea was all breakneck speed of economic development was pretty much the only things that came to the minds of non-Korean when asked about Korea. However, currently, Korea is making lasting impact in the world of cinema, music, show, game, and many others. BTS, Blackpink, the movie Parasite, and the Netflix series Squid Game exceptionally well known. The fans who have experienced the Korean culture through this content gradually become more and more interested in other Korean cultures. Us Koreans call this Hallyu, meaning Korean way, because it is sweeping the world. When I was young, I learned about the concept of peace through the Michael Jackson's Heal the World. And the important things, learned how to express love through the Elvis Presley Love Me Tender. But now, many of us learning peace through the Korean representative voice group BTS and expressing love through the Blackpink. Like how Michael Jackson and Elvis Presley influenced me when I was young, culture has great power to influence many people, even through the barrier of language. It doesn't matter. Followed by the different culture that I have learned through the Michael Jackson and his song, the Korean culture has always been with me as well. Soon, it led to a point when I developed an ability to connect the two cultures together. From this learned that different cultures being united together exert greater power than when one stands.
So, this has been a long time in coming. How many of you are happy this day is here and that we are formally recognizing Korean Americans here in Mukilteo? We know you are a very proud community, very family-oriented, very hard-working. I have lived in Mukilteo now for 27 years. I've been mayor, and I'm on my third term. And a number of different countries have come to Mukilteo and asked to have a sister city relationship. And it never really made sense to me. You look for a strong connection for that to happen. And so when a couple of individuals came to me, Mr. Kim, Mr. Young, and said, we need to have a sister city with Korea, with South Korea. So that makes sense. That makes perfect sense because we are very proud of our Korean American community here in Mukilteo. It is our largest immigrant population, and it makes absolute sense. So we are in the beginning stages and working towards having a sister city with South Korea. Thanks to the work of Mr. Young. And Mr. Kim. And how about our newest council member, Jason Moon. I am so happy to have him on the council. I didn't really know him before. He was on our DEI commission. I had come back, I was on the council for a couple of years, and when I became elected mayor, it left 2 years of my seat open. And the council went forward with a number of interviews of different people who wanted that position. And I was very happy, I didn't know it at the time, but I was very happy that they landed on Jason Moon. And now I've got to know him over the last 7 months, and I've got to tell you, he is doing such a great job for our community as a whole, but most specifically for the Korean American community. He has your interest in heart. He makes sure that you are thought of and that you are brought into the discussion. And the reason we are probably having this here today.
I have to say to my Korean guests in the building, 감사합니다. Thank you for that. Special thank you too to Mr. Jason Moon. I know that it's obvious to people who come to events like this that you're not the one necessarily who did the work. The hard work of connecting all of us really does go to some of the people that you know who already heard about. My special appreciation to Councilmember Moon for having me here. Now, I know that you've been here for a little while, but just in case, one of my biggest and most important things to do is to point out where to find the restaurants. And those of you who've never been here before, they're just right over this way. Soon we'll be eating, and that'll be an important detail. Kennewick High School is a large, comprehensive high school, 2,200 students, of which between 10 to 15% are Korean students. That's a large population of students here inside our building, and they have a long history, a 30-year history, in fact, of excellence here at Kennewick High School. This year, when we start the school year, it's the 30th anniversary of the opening of our building. I was here for that as a student 30 years ago, and some of my friends back when we first opened the building were Korean Americans then, who have now become parents inside our community as well. It's fun and interesting to me to see people who chose to plant their roots here, have their children here, raise their children through our school systems, and then stay with their next generation. I remember the first time I saw the support of the Korean American community for a student and a friend who ran for an ASB office when we were in middle school together at Oak. Back then there was no PowerPoint. And one of our photo place that used to be up by the UFC in Mortillo gave her photo paper that she could write her campaign materials on. And I was so impressed. It happened to be that those were her parents. But that's the first time I can remember support from the Korean American community for our students. But that has continued for all the years that I've been here. We have a long history of sending students, all students, not just Korean American students, but certainly true of our Korean American students as well. So it's equity and talent engagement with the district office. He works in our human resources department, and anyone who's interested in any of those jobs, teaching, substitute teaching, paraeducator, food service, bus driver, we would love to have you. I'm sure he'd love to speak with you today as well. I also want to take just a moment to say deep respect for our police chief, Joel Payne, the work that he does with our entire community, but I owe him a debt of gratitude for our school resource office.
I just said to our Korean-speaking audience, I speak a little bit of Korean. That's because my family and I, we immigrated over to the United States when I was just a year old. And I'll share a story with you. We wound up in a not-so-great area on the east side of Tacoma, where learning to work hard, to get out of rough situations in a rough area, to build up a future for yourself. I think many can relate to in this room, especially our immigrant families that are out there trying to work hard to build yourselves a life in the future, not just great for yourself, but for the children that you're raising in the area. And I have a fond and great appreciation for the amount of work and effort that's put in by our immigrant community. So the thing, what I'll share with you, a little story. My wife took my original green card, which is, it actually said alien registration card. She framed that, and it sits up on the top of my dresser. And what that does for me, it reminds me of where we all started, literally coming into the U.S. with nothing, and where we are now. For every member of this community, I think you can probably agree with me that this is an amazing community. My kids go to school here too. We chose where we're going to live, where we're going to have our kids raised. I'm a little partial, because I have some inside info, but this is a phenomenal community that is so supportive and has an amazing rapport with one another, and I wouldn't have picked anywhere else to raise a family. And it reminds me of how grateful and how fortunate we all are to be here in such an amazing town. And so that's the one story I wanted to share with you on the reminder. No matter how rough a day I have, what occurs, that reminder every morning of where we started and where we are right now kind of brings me back down to earth to remind me, especially as we look out in this audience, how amazing the support community that we have here. And we've been reminded that over the last few years with all the challenges.
All of the planners of this event, I'm so honored to be sharing this stage with such distinguished elected officials, appointed officials, and really strong players in our community. My name is Joanne Kim. I'm a mom of two. My kids are over there. I'm also a wife of a United Methodist pastor. And I'm also the programs manager of family and youth programs at Korean Community Service Center. We're a community-based organization in Edmonds, Washington. We're right the edge of King and Snohomish counties. And we serve all throughout the Puget Sound area. We do mutual aid, social services, and we've been doing that for, gosh, next year will be 40 years? Yes, awesome. Yes. And I just want to say thank you to our executive director, Junie Kim, for trusting me with the mic today. She's back there. Do you want to raise your hand and say hi? providing social services for the Korean American community, newcomers, immigrants, legal services, food bank. We have a monthly food bank. We have been doing translation. We assist with citizenship. Anything that immigrants need help with to navigate the systems, KCSC is there. We also are providing mental health counseling, and I know that that's very inaccessible for many members of our community, and it's a huge problem. So you could just give us a call, schedule an appointment we have licensed therapists available. And we also do family and youth empowerment programs. We have parenting programs and youth programs, and that's kind of my role there. And I'm here, and I want to talk about that today. So that's a little bit about me, but I want to know about you. And we're just coming from a 5-week camp for middle schoolers, and we were saying to know our community, we need to know each other. So can we know each other a little bit? Can we see who's in the room? Can you stand up if you identify as Korean American? You can look around. Woo. All right, you can sit down. If you identify as a person of color, can you stand up? Look around. And sit down. If you are connected to Kenyak High School in some way, can you stand up? Woo! All the volunteers, look around, sit down. We love to respect our elders in our community. If you identify as an elder, 어르신 분들 일어서 주시기 바랍니다. If you are an elder, please stand. Or you can raise your hand if you want to make it accessible. Yes. Thank you. If you are a parent, please stand up. Woo! We love our parents. You can sit down.
Again, my name is Grace Go, and I'm here with Food Can. And I've been invited to share my story. But before I do, I actually have a quick question for everyone. So who here has ever had bibimbap? Raise your hands. Okay, wow, that's a lot. So for those of you who don't know what bibimbap is a very popular South Korean dish. It consists of rice, vegetables, meat, and the word bibimbap literally translates to mixed rice. So you can guess what happens, right? Yeah, you mix it all together and you enjoy it. Where I'm going with this is I actually don't like bibimbap. And in fact, for the longest time, it was my least favorite food. And hear me out. I didn't like it when different things would mix. I thought if things were different, they should stay separated. I felt this way about food, but I felt this way about my identity as a Korean American. And my entire life, I've been proud to be a Korean. I've been proud to be an American, but for some reason, I couldn't find the balance of being a Korean American. It's something that I struggle with. And because these two things were different, I thought they should stay separated. And that's exactly what I did. For the longest time, I never brought Korean food to my American school. I never brought my American friends to meet my Korean family. I kept those two things separated. And the biggest problem was, I never asked for help. Because I genuinely thought that I was the only person going through this kind of identity struggle. I was wrong. When the pandemic first hit in 2020, our world was shutting down. It was falling apart. And every single person was going through their own struggles and facing their own challenges, myself included. So the last thing I wanted to do was talk about my issues. But nevertheless, my mom signed me up for this week-long summer program over Zoom. It was run by this organization I had never even heard of, and I was not expecting anything. But on the first day of the program, one of the prompts was, what does it mean to be a Korean American? And I was shocked. This was the exact question I had been asking myself for years. This is exactly what I was struggling with. And what shocked me even more was that every single person was so willing to share their own stories. Everyone was honest, open, and they were willing to be vulnerable. And the organization I'm talking about, You Can. I'm just going to speak a little about our work. This past year, our high school council members spent time articulating a letter of asks on behalf of the Asian American community. As I read a summarized version of it, please take a moment to take it in. If you agree with something, please show your support with a clap or a snap. Dear Korean Community Center and Korean community, through our work with Youth Can and our own lived experiences, we, the youth, ask our community to consider the following in working towards creating a safe space for young people that is free from the pressure of the model minority myth and its impacts on our mental health and well-being. We deserve uplifting and accurate representation of Asian American experiences in policymaking, media, and professional spaces in order to de-weaponize the identity, stereotypes, and expectations that have been set upon us. As Asian American students in our community are in need of more accessible mental health resources, we must destigmatize the topic, relieve pressures from stereotypes, provide shelter from white supremacy culture, and create platforms for everyone to voice their needs and have their needs validated and met.